Hello, man. This is the Red Pill Mystic, back at it with another video. Now, today's video is a real treat because this is a video I've been saving for years, man. Like, this is, this was a girl I was talking to before I ever had a YouTube channel. Now, I'm really glad I waited to make this video on her because I'm not in a more spiteful mind state like I used to be a year ago, 2 years ago. And I'm at a point now where when you understand what I know, now I'm going to put diet and nutrition into this story because it played a critical role. And I'm creating a shift in the red pill community where I'm letting you guys understand that nothing is really men or women's fault as far as the common man and the common woman, because we've both been poisoned to hate each other. We've both been poisoned, right, to think the other person is the devil, when really the shit we've been trained to do to ourselves makes us sick, right, and makes us create more negativity. So I'm just going to jump right into this, right? So this one, we're going to call it A Girl Named Lola, right? Now, Lola was a girl I met in high school, right? We dated for like, oh God, maybe close to a year. And the thing about her, right, she would always tell me, she's like, I'm a latchkey kid. Now, basically, Lola was like Italian, right? And her dad was like a crackhead who left her when she was like 6 or 7. And her mom was working full time to support her, and so she was like 17 or 18, right? And I was like 17 when we were dating. We were both like 17 or some shit. And she had a brother who was older than us, who was like in his early 20s. And she had a sister who was even older than him, who was like mid 20s, late 20s. Anyway, so basically they all had to fend for themselves as kids, right? They didn't really have anyone around. The mom was working, the dad was gone, so they pretty much raised themselves, right? They like used each other to help them raise each other. Now, the cool thing about Lola is she had some of those, not a lot, but she had some of those old school Italian values where it's like, she understood the value of commitment to a degree. Now, she grew up in America, right? So a lot of it got fucked up, but she understood, like, she wasn't a social media attention whore. Like, when I met her, she didn't even really have a phone. Like, we were in the same class, and she was attractive, right? She didn't care about Facebook, texting, talk. Like, she wanted to be with her man all the time, right? She wanted to be with me all the time. And eventually she snapped, as time went on, she lost that, and she became just like every other girl. But when we were talking, right, this is back in like 2012, 2013. This is before Snapchat really popped off. And people were into social media, but not even anywhere near as much as they are now. You see what I'm saying? So she didn't even care about that. She just liked hanging out with me. And she had some of that loyalty. She had some of that, sort of understanding my value. But here's the thing, right? Because she didn't have a dad, she had abandonment issues, and her biggest fear was like me cheating on her, which really didn't happen, right? But I'm gonna go into the diet and shit too now, right? So we would always get in these fights, right? And she would always make it physical, right? So here's what would happen. Now, I never hit her back or anything, but I'm gonna break into the science of why our relationships fail. And a lot of it goes into nutrition as well. See, Lola was anemic, right? Which means she had basically no iron in her blood. So she was always cold. She was always skinny. And the diet that her mother taught her to eat was like chicken nuggets and fucking French fries every day. Every time I went to see her, this is an attractive girl eating nothing but like chicken nuggets and French fries, which has no nutrition, right? Which has no iron, which isn't replenishing her starving cells at all, right? So she was always very paranoid and very shaky and always afraid of the worst thing happening because it's a chemical deficiency. So almost every other day, me and her would get in fights because it's like she always thought I was cheating on her. If I didn't see her for a couple hours, if I told her, yo, I'm going to the gym, if I told her I'm gonna go hang out with some friends for a few hours, if I didn't see her for a day, right, her mind would instantly go to the worst case scenario. And it got to a point where it was frustrating the shit out of me because it's like, fuck, if I'm gonna be attacked, literally physically attacked, to where it's always like she thinks I'm cheating, maybe I should just start cheating because I'm already paying the price, right? And I tried to tell her, look, and this is before I even knew shit about nutrition, right? I was like, look, if you're anemic, what do you need to fix this shit? She's like, oh, the doctor says I need iron, so he prescribed me these iron pills, but they don't work. Now, I used to get on her case and be like, yo, keep taking the pills. Why'd you stop taking them? But see, I didn't know anything. I was like 17 back then. I didn't understand that. And I'm about to give you guys a fucking gem, okay? The doctor was prescribing her iron in rock mineral form. The body cannot break iron down. I believe he was giving her like an iron oxide. She needed iron phosphate, which is iron in plant form, because the body can only break down minerals in plant form. So you take some burdock root, right, which is iron in plant form, not iron in rock form like the doctor prescribed her. The body can break it down and it can actually cure her anemia. But she didn't know that. I didn't know that. So she stayed anemic throughout our whole relationship, right? Now, this caused her to be paranoid and think that because her mind is starving and because the food isn't giving her what she needs, right? It's just the food she's eating isn't even food. So she's always paranoid, starting fights with me. Now, here's the thing, right? She's starting literally like fist fights with me. And of course, I can't hit her back because you already know what's going to happen. If I slap her ass one time, boom, the boys in blue are going to come take me away for 10 fucking years. So I can't hit her back, right? Now, look, I'm never condoning hitting women and shit, right? But you got to understand, when a woman is slapping the shit out of you, she loses respect for you when you don't hit her back. Whether you or her know it or not, she's losing respect for you because subconsciously she's like, damn, I can slap this dude and he's not going to do anything? What a bitch. Now, she doesn't understand I'm not hitting her back because I know I'm going to fucking jail if I do. She doesn't get that, though. So it puts me in an impossible position where I'm literally being emasculated or demasculated, and I can't do anything about it, not because I don't know how to, but because I'll go to jail if I do. And that represents a struggle that so many men in America have to deal with. Now, of course, hitting her is never the right option. Showing her how to, treat her mental disorders through the right nutrition is the right option, but I didn't know how to do that back then. And the whole moral of it is it just puts you in an impossible position, right? But see, a thing men don't understand is a lot of MGTOW or red pill guys would think to themselves, oh man, see, if we were just in an environment where we could G-check the bitch and we could just pop her one good time, slap her one good time, we wouldn't have to deal with this shit. No, that's not true either, because look, violence is never the answer, right? People need to be treated of their conditions so they no longer have the need to start fucking with you to begin with. If she knew how to eat right, if she knew how to calm her anemia and her mental disorders through the right diet, she wouldn't have ever felt the need to attack me anyway. Right? So meeting violence with violence is a short-term solution, but it never really solves the issue. But see, I didn't know how to do that. She didn't know how to do that. And a lot of you men out there, you hate women, right? But you don't understand that it's bigger than women. We've both been tricked. We've both been tricked to consume alcohol and drugs and food that is drugs and food that is poison, right? And not know how to use the right sort of plants and herbs to heal ourselves. So we're naturally going to hate each other. We're naturally going to fight each other, And of course, me and her ended up breaking up because I finally couldn't take it anymore. And she just went down a rabbit hole of depression and misery and, self-destructed. But the thing is, that could have been avoided, right? If we knew how to heal each other, that could have been avoided. And that's really the idea I want to plant in the minds of men in the red pill community, because it starts with men. If men set a standard, if men set a foundation, we can change everything, right? So I want you to start thinking to yourself, forget how much bitches have made us miserable. Forget how much little trust we have. Start really thinking about it and on a scientific level, right? Start really trying to understand the science. Forget your emotions. Forget how you feel. Forget how wronged you are. Start thinking to yourself on a scientific level, what caused this woman to turn out like this? What caused me to have a desire to do this or to do that, right? If you know, how do I say this, right? Every thought, right? Every action we create, it started with a thought, right? And we got to think to ourselves, what created the thought? More times than not, you're going to find out what you're putting in your body is creating the thought. A lot of the times we think, oh man, the shit we've been through is what made us fucked up. But what gave us the initial thought, right? Or what gave the people that fucked us over the initial thought to fuck us over? Because human beings, naturally, we don't desire to create suffering. We don't desire to abandon our kids. We don't desire, right? Her dad was a crackhead, right? So his drug addiction ripped him from her, right? And caused her to develop her bad habits, which then caused her to attack me, which caused me to leave her, which caused me to hate her. And it's just a vicious cycle, but it's deeper than just men and women being born to hate each other. That's what we think. Men, a lot of men in the red pill community, including myself for a long time, we thought that women were just a sick joke created by God to make men miserable, right? We don't understand that, no, it's not that. In nature, women were designed to complement men. Now, whether women will ever truly love men the way men love women, or they'll just value us for our utility, we'll never really know. But what we do know is when people are healthy, right? When people don't have addictions and mental disorders, they can complement each other. So whether women will ever love us for who we are or not, if they are healthy, right, and they don't have disorders, they are much more willing to follow you and be guided by you and fucking pretty much serve you. And I don't mean serve you as a slave. I mean carry out your mission to help you achieve what you're trying to do and be happy to do it. That's what nature intended, right? So we've got to really start understanding the science of why people are fucked up. And I was going to go into this in my You're All Drug Addicts Part 2 video, but you got to understand, right? There is a disconnect between everyone, men and men and women and women and men and women. The things we're consuming are literally blocking off part of our brains that make us social, that make us loving, that make us want to connect and network and build with each other. Right? The things we're consuming are making us isolated, antisocial, and that makes us easier to control by a small group of men, because don't get it twisted, it's men who fucked up everything. It's not you, it's a much smaller group of men who own all of us, right? Who purposely instilled certain chemical addictions, certain food addictions, and of course, race, religion, feminism, all kinds of shit to divide and divide and divide, and then we're all enslaved, right? But you got to really take it back to a grassroots, back to a scientific, back to a natural level to understand where we got ripped off, where we got fucked up, right? So that's just some more food for thought. That's a girl named Lola. The moral of that story is her upbringing, her parents, or both of her parents were fucking drug addicts. Her whole family was fucking drug addicts, right? But it's all a vicious cycle that started way before her. She was damned before she was even born, right? And the relationship was doomed before it started. And it all came back to the diet. It all came back to disorders and things like that all stemmed from an unnatural family environment and from unnatural eating. And that's really it. And when you solve that problem, right? When you fix the nature problem, everything else will start to work itself out. People will start to know how to interact with each other again. But so many men in this fucking red pill community Oh, we gotta have these laws. Oh, we gotta have these rights. We need to give men the power. Well, motherfuckers, if you don't solve the nature problem, if you don't solve the food problem, if you don't solve the mental disorders, right, that are caused by a fucked up diet, nothing you create legally or society, everything you create will crumble, right? The people have to be healed. The people have to not have fucked up thoughts anymore. The people have to know how to benefit each other, how to serve each other, the same way animals in nature know how to, right? The birds get up every morning at 6 a.m. and chirp, right? The alligators sit in the pond every day. They never start climbing trees and shit and want to learn how to fly. Everything in nature knows how to play its role except people. People are the only creatures that forgot what they are naturally. And once you bring people back to that, these things will start working themselves out. It doesn't take some crazy radical revolution. It doesn't take a fight. It's just planting seeds in people's minds of teaching them how to go back to nature. And this shit, men will start knowing how to lead again. Women will start knowing how to follow again, because that's what nature intended. But it's not about fighting the other person and trying to convince them to start following you. It's about letting nature take care of that. So that's just, that's that video. I'm going to do, my next video is going to be, You're All Drug Addicts Part 2. And I hope you look out for that. If you guys really want the answers to how to heal yourself and how to start healing the people in your community, order yourself a copy of my program, My Road to Freedom. The link is below. It's on Patreon. It's $150. I'm putting it all in there so you guys don't have to have any more questions, right? You can learn how to start healing yourselves. Start learning how your mind, how your body actually works, so that you're not out there fighting, these stupid battles that don't amount to shit and stressing yourself out. It's really that simple, man. So I'm going to get this video uploaded. Take care.